Yo, what is up, everybody? It is your male, um, sex god, finger master himself, back at it again after several months of being absent. Um, but this is one of those serious. This is kind of hard to get used to. This is cool. I'm a real YouTuber now. I got a camera and a freaking microphone. Yeah. But in all seriousness, this is a serious video. I can't speak. Um, it's funny because I actually had to re-record this because it just didn't end up like uploading, so now I have to like re-say all this. But let's just get to the what this is about, right? I've been absent. Obviously, the last time I uploaded was um like couple months ago, and that's just because I have been doing a little bit of self reflection recently about like where I think that where I want the channel to go, where I feel like it's how I should. Again, bear with me. I'm horrible at audibly explaining stuff, but um, just looking back now that I am this year, I did turn 18, so um, I now have adult responsibilities, which is interesting in itself. But yeah, it's definitely something new, but get used to it, like everybody does. Um, but when it comes to this, like the channel, sorry, I get distracted a lot. Let's just go ahead and address stuff that needs to be said. So, it's no surprise that if you've seen this channel, there's a lot of edgelord content. There's a lot of stuff that I feel I took too far, right? Um, I feel like I said some things that I should not have said. Trying to keep this, not trying to be dramatic, just trying to, you know, state where I feel like I should approach things now because the kind of content that I make, it's no surprise that it falls under that category of dark humor. And again, I'm not trying to be sarcastic when I use air quotes, just how I explain stuff. But even then, um, being, and I can't use this excuse saying that I was a teenager because it was to the point where I was saying stuff that was really not okay. Um, the slurs and stuff. Even if it was censored or not, you know, in the skits, and it's what I want to basically address with this video. It's no surprise. I said stuff like the N word. I said the F slur. All kinds of slurs you can think of, right? Um, and the reality is that even though I saw that as just, oh, it's just dark humor, it's again air quotes, not trying to be sorry. It's just how I describe stuff. But like, um, you know, this stuff I was saying was just not okay. Whether my intentions were good or not, it doesn't matter. Um, and I realize now that I'm an adult. I don't know, something about being an adult. It just ref- something about like just self reflection just like hits hard. Um, and it just makes me think like where do I want to be? How do I want my audience to feel about this kind of content in the future? Because what I was doing was not okay. What I was saying was not okay. There were plenty times where I crossed the line. I said stuff in the skits that I should not have said, even if it was just a joke. And it really was just a joke. I was being ironic, but you can't really fall back on that excuse, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like there's just some things you just don't say, right? With the slurs, and even then, sometimes I feel like I was just making jokes that like targeted like one group of people, um, too much, and that wasn't ever my intention. I believe that you should be able to make jokes about everybody, you know, um, because I feel like that's just like gives people respect, right? It's like putting people on a pedestal, in my opinion, and that's just my opinion. But like, I feel like what I was saying. what I was doing. And again, I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. Again, I'm not the best at explaining stuff. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to say everything I want to say, but it's just hard to construct it. Because again, I'm not the best speaker, obviously, but um, I'm getting distracted. All right. It was getting to the point where I was just, you know, making jokes that were borderline not even jokes, right? They were just offensive for the sake of being offensive. They were just they were problematic. It was just weird antisocial behavior. That's what it was. Let's just call it as it is, right? It was that weird, and I'm gonna use the term edgelord, And again, just not trying to be sarcastic. Sorry, it's just I'm gonna use the term edgelord to kind of describe that the weirdness, the not okay behavior that was reflected on the channel. Obviously, my intentions weren't to ever like hurt anybody or harm anybody or send some weird, you know, soapbox message on some like weird fucking KKK shit or like anti-LGBTQ thing or whatever. That was never my intention, you know. I just said some things that were not okay to say, the way I approached dark humor was not the way you should approach that kind of humor at all, right? Um, and again, I understand that some people don't find that kind of sense of humor to be funny. Um, but I also understand that there is an audience who does understand that it is a joke, and there's proper ways to go about it, whether that's using it to address political issues. And it doesn't even have to be that deep, right? It doesn't even have to be something like South Park or like Wonder Chosen or something like that. It can just be a clever joke that falls under that category. Like sometimes we just need to laugh at ourselves, and that's just um, that's just what it is. Like I know that what I was doing wasn't like genuine alt right weirdness, but like at the same time, it doesn't make it okay. There's no excuse for what I was doing. Um, there's just no excuse for it. It was just problematic. It was not the right way to approach that kind of humor, right? It was the worst way. It was that shock humor, being offensive just for the sake of being offensive, right? Um, there are some like skits that I do think hold up. Very few that I think I did approach it maybe the right way. But most of the time, I think I wasn't thinking. There really wasn't like much thought put into the jokes. It was just, and I can't make the excuse that I was just being an edgy teenager and whatever because, you know, it's just not. You can only go so far with what you say, right? And I feel like it's not really. I mean, it is, in a sense, my responsibility. I know that I can't control what people do at the end of the day. I can only control what I do, but I feel like I can't really normalize that kind of behavior going that far with the things I did. And if you've seen the skits, you know exactly what I'm talking about with the slurs and you know just making jokes that just in general might be seen out of like in bad taste. And again, wasn't ever my intention, but that was the biggest problem I had is that I believe that because I had, the good intentions just to make people laugh at the end of the day, that I could say whatever the fuck I wanted to. And that's just not the case because, words hurt people like they do. And I'm not gonna lie, it's when I, graduated, the day I came home, it was like, it hit me. I was like, damn, I don't know why graduation it hit me like that. When I was 18, it started to hit me a little bit because it was getting to the point where I was acting like that in school. Like you, obviously, I've never had anything against anybody, um, but it was getting to the point where the shit I was like saying and doing, you really couldn't tell a difference between who I was as a person and the characters that I was saying, or the fuck, sorry, the characters that I made, like some antisocial character that I made, like obviously, I didn't believe in any of the shit I said, but my problem was that I believed that, oh, I don't mean it, so I can say it. And that's just not the case because it can be really hard. Number one, it can be really hard to tell sometimes if someone's being genuine or not. And number two, it's just not right to just have, because it's a lack of empathy, I feel, right? Because like just because I see something as funny doesn't necessarily mean somebody else finds it funny, and that's okay. But I feel like it's a problem when it gets to the point where people are getting hurt because of it, which is another thing I want to address. Right, the stuff that even Deep episode 1 with this like the slurs and like I feel like I went a little bit too far with some of the stuff. Like I said with like the part where where the characters were like saying the F's were like repeatedly. And if you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. You know, and another thing that was a really stupid philosophy I had was like, just because it's censored, because, it was either, so whenever I would say a slur, right, in the skits, it was like, you would hear it, for example, like, the N word, right? It would be like, "Nit," and then it would just cut out, right? Or it would be that, and then it would be censored. I felt like as long as it's censored, then it's okay to say, which is a stupid thing to believe because you know damn well what I'm saying at the end of the day, right? Like it's like when you're, and it's just kind of, this isn't really the best example, but again, I'm not the best when it comes to explaining stuff, but like you know how, and this is kind of, I'm not trying to take any seriousness away from it. It's just like when you're watching like Master Chef or something like that. Again, I'm sorry if this is like not the best example, but like like Gordon Ramsay, he's going off and he's like he's saying like fuck and whatnot. He's saying the F word. It's censored though, but he's still saying it. So that's kind of the point, right? And it's just I think it really just it for me. Unfortunately, it took becoming an adult to realize that what I was saying and doing wasn't okay. Um, and it's really just as simple as that, right? It's not okay. I can make every excuse in the world to try to justify that kind of humor, because really I really didn't mean no harm, but that also does not excuse what I was saying. It's still problematic and wrong, right? It could have come off as like some pretty heinous behavior, it could have come off as some pretty hurtful stuff, you know. And truthfully, like I said, I really don't believe what I was doing was as severe as like some like genuine like alt right weirdness and just is like racism, homophobia that like unfortunately people go online and do and try to preach. At the end of the day, these were poorly aged, problematic skits made by someone who had a lack of empathy, right? Who thought that just because I saw it as a joke and just because I didn't believe in any of the shit I was saying, I can make jokes about it, and that's just simply not the truth. That's not the case. Um, so I'm gonna try, I'll try to like not repeat myself. Sorry, I'm sounding like a broken record, but again, not the best at explaining shit. But I gotta try my best, right? I gotta let my audience know like that the slurs and all, it was not okay, right? It really was not okay for me to do, especially as a white guy saying some of the shit I was saying. It's like, I can only imagine how that made some people feel, especially the people who are, in marginalized groups, people who are black, gay, transgender, all kinds of labels that I I couldn't name all right now, but um, it's just it wasn't okay. It wasn't okay for me to do. It wasn't okay for me to say. Going forward, um, there will still be skits with that flavor of dark humor, right? Because that's just the kind of sense of humor I have. But I'm definitely going to approach it better. I'm definitely going to try and that's another problem I had. I really didn't think 5 minutes into the future. I didn't think twice before what I was saying. Um, and I'm gonna fuck up. I'm a human being. You know, I'll make mistakes, but I think it's important to address the kind of stuff I used to believe in and the stuff I believe in now, right? Where I believe that, because I used to believe that you could say whatever as long as you don't mean it, but it's just not the case, right? Um, so when it comes, so regarding the older content too, right? Regarding the content that I made, even the last Deep episode, I'm gonna keep them up because I feel like it's kind of cowardly to take them down. I've only taken down like two videos, those being the Cardi Flow videos, because if I'm being honest here, when I heard myself do that, there are two reasons. Um, Number one, hearing me, a white guy, say the N word, even if it wasn't the hard R, the urban version, I like to call it. Just hearing me say that, it was just it made me feel like like icky's the best. I know I'm not trying to make it sound childish, but like it just made me feel icky. Like it just made me feel like weird hearing myself say that, right? And so I deleted it, and I know that might be a cowardly act to do, but it was just, and it could be just be selfishness that I have, but I didn't like hearing myself say that, right? And the reason I say it's selfish is because it's like, well, why are you deleting that, right? It's like you're supposed to, if you're keeping all these other videos up, why are you deleting these ones? It's just because it's really is just that bad for me to kind of go back and see, and it was just not, it wasn't a, it made me feel a certain way, so I for just for my to make me feel, you know, not a certain way about it, I had to delete it. So those are really the only two videos that I've deleted. I'm probably gonna delete the channel trailer, and it's not because of like the content that was in it, because again, if that was the case, then I would be deleting every video besides like a few commentary videos and maybe the few skits that I do think hold up, but it's a very few. But um it's just the reason I'm keeping them up is because I feel like it's a good way to look back on it and be like, oh, okay, this is where I started, right? This is where I started. This is and I want to be able to grow, right? That's what everybody wants to do at the end of the day, you know? So it's just a way to look back on where I started, how I've evolved. If I ever do keep this channel in the future, which I do, can't plan on doing this as much as I can, right? If life doesn't prevent that from not happening as much. But the older videos are gonna stay up simply because of that. I feel like, again, I feel like it's kind of cowardly to try to um hide your past, right? I feel like it's, because it's a good way to look back and be like, okay, here's where I changed, here's where I gotten better, right? Um, so that's that regarding the videos up until going forward. And another thing, when it comes to the content, and that goes for any kind of content that I make, right? When it comes to the skits, um, and I mean this to anybody who watches the channel, right? I mean this to anybody because, like, if as I know, like, let's be honest, I'm not a quote unquote obviously famous YouTuber, right? I'm a smaller YouTuber, right? But I do know that there are people that still watch my videos, right? I do see the view count, I do see that. So here's what I want to say about this. I'm being honest with you guys, so just be honest with me. Um, I've I am trying. I will try to approach this kind of humor differently, because it really is funnier if you think about this kind of stuff, and it's in a clever sense. Obviously, it again doesn't have to be the smartest stuff in the world, but I feel like if there's just a little bit of thought put into it at least, and it's not in bad taste, it's okay at the end of the day for me, right? But with that being said, like I said, I'm being honest with you guys, so be honest with me. If anything, and I mean anything from the skits, that's deep, that's the Tyler skits, whatever, Avic, A Very Illegal Christmas, whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter, right? If something doesn't, and I don't care who you are, right? Like I said, if something does not sit right with you, please let me know, because the last thing I want to do is create this atmosphere where your feelings and opinions aren't respected, and where you, just because you feel a certain way, that means that it gets blown off if someone doesn't see it the other way. Like, I don't want to make a community that's like apathetic. If I want to, I want this to be a safe community. I want this to be a community where we can come and laugh, we can have fun, but you know, I don't want it to be something where, you know, what I'm saying or doing, even if it's just a joke or comedy, hurts you guys, right? Because I know now, like, especially now with this the whole self-reflection thing, as an adult, right? I know that certain like words can make people feel a certain way, which is something I never really took account of. Obviously, I knew everybody has a general conception, yeah, conception of what right and wrong is, right? But even then, I I still feel like I pushed the boundaries, right? I've said some things that shouldn't have been said, even if it was just irony or just a joke. It's more than just a joke to some people, right? And I respect that. I respect that a whole lot more than I did back then. I like to think. So if anybody, just be honest with me. If anybody has a problem or is like, hey, this didn't feel comfortable, I didn't feel comfortable with this, let me know. You know, because I really will listen, and I really will take that into consideration, because it's the thing you gotta think when you have this kind of like content that revolves around this kind of sense of humor, right? You gotta think twice, right? And you should think twice, because that just shows that you care, right? It's not just, oh well, I can say whatever I want, and if you're offended, you're a pussy, or oh, if you don't find this funny, like if you're genuinely offended, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not weird. You're not you're not soft. It's how you feel. It's the real human emotions. It's how you feel, right? And which is something I didn't really take account of or really think about too much when I was making the skits. I just thought that it was a joke, and everybody knew I was joking, so I could just say whatever the hell I wanted, which is again not the case. So again, you know, I'm I know that I'm a human being, and there will be times where I will make mistakes. Again, just like everybody else does. But like I said, if moving forward, in the future with the content, again, if anything does, if it doesn't sit with you, be honest. Your voice is heard. It's not. I really do. I do value. I do. Jesus, I can't speak. I do value how you guys, you know, feel about this stuff, because at the end of the day, you were the guy. You're the people that like the people that watch my videos. You're the people that you know see the content, and the people I make the videos for, right? So, just be honest with me, because I want to have a safe, understanding, accepting community, right? Um, so I'm trying to keep this video brief, right? But there's just a lot I feel like I gotta say. But yeah, that addresses content, but again, um, if I did hurt anybody, if what I was doing, didn't sit well with anyone, I really genuinely am sorry. I really am. You know, it's when I came home from my graduation, I was like, I don't know. Again, I don't know why it was graduation, but it was just I came home and I was like, it all hit me at once. I was like, holy shit, man! I gotta stop being a fucking loser. I gotta stop saying some of the shit I do, man. But you know that it, people have points of self-reflection. Obviously not specifically my case for everybody. Not everybody does the stupid shit at the level I did. But you know, sometimes in life you just gotta sit back and be like, okay, this is you know where things will go if I continue doing this, and this is how I can change and make things better. Because we all go through it. We all go through points like that, right? And again, not specifically my case. Everybody's case is different. But I feel like it's important to address the problems that you have with yourself, and maybe if what you're doing is negatively affecting people, it's important to come forward with that and be honest with yourself, you know? Um, that's basically what I wanted to say. Um, Frisk, if you're watching, thank you again for your help with Deep. Thank you a lot. It really does. It really does mean a lot. Um, with what you did, with the the character design, the the art concept that you made for Deep, the support just in general, without you, to be honest, without you and a good friend of mine, um, I don't think, I don't think I'd be confident enough to make Deep, right? So, thank you. If you're watching this, thank you, and I'm sorry if my dumbass actions affected the way your audience sees you, because you you were not you were not like who I was at all, right? You had dark sense of humor like me, but it was, and I'm talking about how you are in real life, right? You're a very understanding person. You're a very, empathetic person. Which is what a problem that I had. You knew when to not cross the line, which was a problem that I had. So, again, if you are watching this, I am sorry if what I've done has affected the way people see you, um, the audience sees you, because I know that that's not fair to you. You know, the way I acted should not be the reflections of people around me, right? It's me, right? It's my fault. So thank you very much for that. Um, I'm looking forward to doing more. I really am looking forward to doing more with the channel. With Deep, with just skits in general. I have pretty cool ideas. Um, some pretty cool video ideas for the future. But before I could do any of that, I feel like I had to make this video to kind of address where I am, because I feel like, again, it's important to address how I feel, where my head and my heart is about this kind of content, even if it is comedy. Um, because let's be honest, you know, people can have influence on people. I don't want to have a negative influence on how my audience sees things, and it's like, oh, well, he can say it, so I can say it, I can do whatever. Like, that's not the case, right? What I was doing, wasn't okay. Um, I did cross the line more than I want to admit. Um, and now I really am trying to better myself. I'm trying to approach this kind of comedy differently, you know, because that's just how you become a better writer in general. If you rely, to me, in my opinion, if you rely on that shock value, if you rely on slurs, and when it comes to like dark humor, it's just like that's not why it's funny. It's not. What makes this kind of humor funny to me is that, yeah, you do dive into kind of the taboo area, but you're able to do something clever with it, to where you're like, oh, okay, I can laugh at that because that was a clever joke. Um, and again, sometimes we all just need to laugh at each other. Um, and sometimes it isn't. It's as simple as that. And there's all kinds of ways to use that kind of humor to approach things, like, again, social issues, and it can just be more simple. It was just a good joke, and it was funny, but the way I was approaching it wasn't really the best way at all. It was problematic. It was wrong. But and especially, again, a white guy saying some of the stuff I was saying, really not okay. Even if I saw it as irony, which is kind of a dumb philosophy. It's just I don't mean it. I really didn't. But it still doesn't make it okay to say it, right? Um. So yeah, that's basically kind of a conception of all I wanted to say. Um. I will continue. Deep. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the new Deep. The and just this just how I can explore content in the future, right? Um. But yeah, it's basically all I wanted to say. Thank you again for those who still watch the videos. And again, I am sorry if what I did impact you in a negative way. I truly am. You know, it really does not feel good. But I feel like it's important to recognize that it doesn't feel good because that's how I want to. That's how it makes me feel like I want to change. Um, that's how you better yourself. You recognize that. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This phase of life, when it comes to the guilt, kind of sucks. But I feel like it's necessary. We all got to go through that sometimes. Again, not specifically my case for everybody, but you know, it's important to look back and be like, am I? It was what I'm. Even if my intentions aren't bad, or if I'm not trying to spread a message of hate or bigotry or prejudice or anything like that. It's still important to see, look at what you're saying and be like, oh, will this, hurt somebody? Will this sit? How's this gonna sit with people? And again, I may, I may fuck up again. I'm not saying that to be like, um, oh, it's gonna happen anyway. So get over it. I'm really not. I'm just recognizing that I'm a human being and I make mistakes. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Um, Again, thank you, thank you all for watching. Those who watch. Again, sorry for the problematic shit I was doing. Um, that's pretty much it. I hope everybody has a good day. That's all I gotta say. Um, that's about it. Have a good day. God bless.